What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you are watching us on YouTube or Rumble, please hit that follow and subscribe button. Help build up our numbers, even though YouTube's got me on timeout right now. But yeah, just hit that follow and subscribe button. Build those numbers up. Also, if you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google, all the podcast platforms, please hit that follow and subscribe button so we can continue to show up on your screen, your little black mirror, and you can catch interviews like the one I'm about to have with the Mr. Johnny, I guess, Flyboy Moser. Hey, Johnny Mo.
Good enough, man. Good enough. I'll take
How
it.
you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Short notice and everything. This is great.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you. You're helping me out, short notice, everything. I've been put kind of like, I have a routine where it's like every 5 episodes I try and have a veteran on. And I got a, ton of veteran friends and people I served with on social media. And only a few will have step up. Like, I don't know if I have anything to do. We all have a story. We all have
a story.
We all have something to share. Come on out and help me out. And then, so I posted something on there, and our mutual friend, Al, SAVE22 hit me back and said, "Hey, meet my buddy Johnny." I was like, "Let's make this happen because everything's held up. The conveyor belt that's running and pumping this machine is like held up, waiting for a veteran." So you're breaking it through. You're the enema to get us cleared out here.
Enema. Geez, I'm a high colonic. Hey, it was funny too because Albert sent me a message on Messenger last night at Johnny Mo Media, and my daughter had just pulled in the driveway. She was deployed to Saudi. We picked her up last week in South Carolina. She made it back, and she decided, hey, you know what? It's time to come home. And that hit. Albert hit. You hit. I got another guy hitting me up for some stuff. I'm like, bro, my kid just got home from Saudi. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Fuck it. Let's just do it.
Man.
Somebody needs help. Somebody needs some stuff. You know what? Maybe I'll call you up and put you on my podcast,
Hell yeah. That'd be great, man. I'd be honored.
That'd be awesome.
I appreciate you taking the time with all that going on. I mean, I knew, I knew you were busy last night, but we were still able to set it up for this morning, and you're doing me a solid right now, man. And for all my friends out there that are timid, listen to that story. And he still came on and did it. All right, time to nut up, buttercups. But but anyway, let's get into things a little bit. I usually to go back into the timeline when to figure a person out as they've made this evolution and this transition in life and military service and whatnot.
Yeah.
But originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh man, 7 years old, I got my first airplane ride in a little Cessna down here on a grass strip in Beach City Airport, and I said, "That's it, I'm going to fly." And I said I'm going to go to the Air Force. Wanted to be in race cars, wanted to be on motorcycles, wanted to be in airplanes, everything. Growing up, 16 years old, talked to the Air Force. They're like, "Nah, your eyesight's too bad. You can't be a pilot." So I walked down to the Marine recruiter and I said, "Hey, I want to be a Marine. I can't be a pilot." And they're like, "You're too fucking little. Get out of here." I was 4'11", 98 pounds. I had no idea there was a height requirement to be a Marine. I still think that guy was lying. But, I ended up taking the ASVAB. The Navy called. Like, "Hey, we'll make you a what they call it, nuclear technician on a sub." I'm like, no, that's all right. So
I want to be way above the water, not way below.
Yeah, I got to be outside, man. I can't do this. So I went to the Air Force, open electronics, signed up just shy of my 18th birthday, and got electronic warfare when I was in boot, basic training. Went to school down in Keesler, Mississippi for about a year. I think it was 10 months, something like that. Got my first station at George Air Force Base about a month after Desert Storm was over. All the guys come back. I was with the Wild Weasels. So you want to talk about some crazy ass stories, man. Talk to those pilots and EWOs that, 1990, 1991, SAMs and hunter killer missions and suppression of enemy air defense. It was really intense. It was great. I picked the right job. Ended up doing like 6 bases in 6 years, man. Georgia Air Force Base closed, went to Korea for a year, come back, was supposed to be with the SR-71. They shut that down. Was supposed to go to the U-2s. That got shut down. And I went back to the Wild Weasels in Nellis. Ended up doing, I don't know, 3 or 4 deployments with them. They shut down. Then I went to Tinker with AWACS. So talk about hitting a brick wall or feeling like you hit a brick wall. Living in Las Vegas, working on fighter jets, to living in Oklahoma City on AWACS with a surveillance aircraft was like my wheels just skid to a halt. Like, this is not fun at all anymore. So I did that for about 3.5 years. I can't even tell you how many deployments I did with AWACS. They were all over the place. 6 weeks, 3 months, 2 weeks. I think my last year on active duty, I did like 279 days TDY. Busted up my shoulder, had to have some surgeries. Ended up getting out in December of 99. Got married in June of 2000. June of 2000. September 11th happened. I was supposed to go back into the reserves because my wife was like, listen, you are not the guy I fell in love with. You think you need the military back. We didn't want to go back to active duty. We had a kid on the way after let me rephrase. My wife had a child already. She was 2 when I met her. So we had her. We had one on the way. Did some looking, couldn't get into the Army. Marine Corps wanted me to go back to boot, take off all my rank. I'm like, bro, I was an E5. I'm not taking off all my rank. So the reserve said I could keep my rank. Went out here to Youngstown, Ohio, with the 910th, was electronic warfare for a couple years there. Then got picked up as a first sergeant, E7, with the crew chiefs out there with the maintenance squadron. Got fired from that because I'm not political. You know, got rules, you got rules. Something happens when you tell a brigadier general's son he's not fucking signing in until he shaves his head. You know, you're not coming to my drill with a fucking hippie haircut, dude. Get your shit straight. And ended up getting fired. But hey, Chief Palma, buddy of mine up in ops, said, hey, why don't you come up and be a flight engineer? So took about a year to get approved, got approved, went to school, did flight school down in, where was that, Little Rock, Arkansas. Ended up flying 1 or 2 times a week, couple times a month for trips. Did 3 deployments. Got about 50 combat missions, combat support, 250 hours about. Flew all over the Middle East. Retired in 2015. September 11, 2015 is my retirement date. And that was my military career. And
okay.
Then,
hey, so yeah, real quick then, because you gave me a lot to unpack there. But let me kind of go back a little bit to, all right, you knew you wanted to be a pilot. You got your first airplane as a kid, and you're like, I want to fly.
Yep.
You wanted to join the Air Force. I mean, what else was involved in like kind of that decision like that? Hey, I know I want to serve my country, or what,
So my old man was Army National Guard in 1965, 1973. He was a tank recovery specialist in the Guard up here in Canton. And I always knew he had never gone anywhere, right? He never got activated. He never did anything. But I always thought it was just the patches on his uniform, the stories of riding in the big trucks, the 2.5s, the 5 tons, 10 tons, the wreckers, the stories that he would tell, not combat related or anything, just the camaraderie, the stories. Yeah. He had a buddy who was killed in Vietnam right after he got there, Bob Ader. Every time I go to DC, I still find his name on the wall, pay a little bit of respect to him. I just always wanted to do it. It was just something in my head. I tried college. I applied to University of Cincinnati and got in as a senior in like 88, 89. But it wasn't fitting. It wasn't sitting in me, right? Yeah. Like I don't think I want to do school. And I told my old man I wanted to go be a Marine after 2 guys who graduated a year before me came back in their Class A's. Now everybody knows that the Marines got the best fucking uniforms.
Oh yeah,
there's just no doubt, right? When
And
those
we'll
dudes
hear
showed
about it.
up,
We'll hear all about it this week.
oh, I'm already hearing about it, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's all over the place. But you know, these guys came in, and those guys that came in, they were little like I was. I think I graduated at 5'3", and I saw these guys, and I'm like, well, shit, if if they were little in high school too, like me, I can go do that. So I went over there to that recruiter, and he's like, nah, you're too little. I'm like, you're full of shit. I'm too little. I just saw. He's like, no, you're too little. Well, I come back home. I tell my old man, and he says, you know, would you please use your head for something other than target practice?
Yeah.
I said, all right. You know, I get it. Now, I don't fault my dad for changing my mind or anything, but it was really something that I always wanted to do was fly, be around airplanes, be involved in something exciting. Um, and you know, no lie, I really that was my only plan. You know, and I did it, and it was exciting. I was happy to be on my own at 18 and
Yeah.
you know have a little bit of a paycheck. I don't remember what we made when we got in. I mean, you're about the same age as me. It
Dude,
was
it
it was
seemed like
not a lot.
yeah, it wasn't a lot, but at the same time, it's like our food was covered, our rent and
Right.
room and board is covered. So it's just like we were just like, you know, going out
Chilling
and
in the
blowing it.
dorms, man.
Yeah.
You
As
know,
long as I
chilling
can
in the
get my
dorms.
my case of what was it, the Beast, Milwaukee's Best or something like
Oh,
that. That was me at E3 or whatever, living large.
dude, I distinctly remember buying cases of Michelob in the bottle. I think I was in Korea, Osan, Korea, $9.80 a case,
Wow.
and we'd hump it back to the dorm. You know, lived on the third floor, but it was like every couple days buying a fucking 12 pack for $9. You know, I couldn't beat it.
Yeah.
It was just something I always wanted to do, and you know now I'm still involved in airplanes and airports and everything. I'm an instructor on ILS, which is instrument landing systems that they use in air traffic control during inclement weather and things like that. So, you know, I'm still involved in shit like that. It's just always been something that I wanted to do. I'm very lucky. I've never had to worry about a job or a paycheck or other than a government shutdown. But you know,
Yeah.
I don't have that experience of where's my next meal coming from.
Yeah. I
Very
mean,
much.
your dad's advice paid off,
Oh, absolutely.
by following that. It's like a lot of us that, everybody's like, I don't know, we're testosterone heavy as kids, or we feel like we got something to prove. That's like, oh, if I, do this, go this route, but we don't play the tape forward of like, well, where's the job and the training and experience going to be after, I'm
I
done.
always felt like I had something to prove because I was so little, so skinny. You know, I took karate as a kid. I boxed as a kid. I was just, I'm like, I got to be this tough guy. And, you know, I'm sure we'll get into it later, but just recently I realized I don't have to be that tough guy. I don't have to hide my emotions. I'm allowed to have feelings. I'm allowed to have, um, you know, joy. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, for lack of a better word, I'm allowed to be happy. I'm allowed to enjoy things. Um, and I don't fault them, my parents, because they did the best they could with what they had when they had it, and they did it to their best capacity. But it always felt like I had to act like him, right? I always had to be the hard ass. I always had to be the my way or the highway guy. I always had to be the enforcer. Um,
Yeah.
that's not the case, man. That's not the case. You got to make your own. You got to make your own path, and you know what? If you're not happy with the person that you are, then you need to change it. Nobody else is going to change it for you. And you know, I went through my drunks and my recovery. You know, 14 and a half years from alcohol. Um,
Awesome.
6 years post suicide. I think it's 6 years, but yeah, 2016. So 6 years post suicide, 2 years with the podcast, and um, I just realized I'm allowed to be happy, and you know, here I am. So kind of,
Gotcha. Hey, do me a favor. Can you pull the mic a little bit away from your
yeah. Is it too
mouth? I
hard?
keep getting,
Keep getting
yeah,
the
that's,
pops.
well, it's a little quieter, but, it's
How's
just,
that?
I keep getting the wind, you know?
Oh, my bad.
There you go. That's good right
That's
there.
better.
Yeah. Um, Yeah. So and man, like I read that in your thing too, and that's something I definitely want to get into at the end. But real quick, let me run through some of these questions about time in.
Sure.
Some of the oddest things that you witnessed or experienced while serving.
Phantom shitter and Insulate Turkey. This guy would just we have no idea who it was, but he would just for the shit of it, he'd just go poop somewhere. He'd poop in a Dash 60. He pooped in a Green Beret bus one day. I'm like, dude, you realize these guys are Green Berets? What are you doing? Just drop his trowel and poop right on the driver's seat. Um, the Phantom shitter's got to be the most unique one. Um, and then partying with a bunch of Brits in Incirlik back when we were doing Northern Watch and Provide Comfort. Um, they just all of a sudden all started pissing their pants. We were in a hooch. Everybody's drinking, having a good time, playing some music, and one guy stands up. I don't remember what he said, but he stood on top of the bar and just wet his pants. The next thing you know, 30 fucking Brits are pissing their pants. I'm out of here. I'm out. I can't do this, man. This is crazy. Crazy shit. And then weather, excuse me, weather in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. I'd walk to work about a mile and a half at like 4:30 in the morning. And it was like 60 degrees. So it was pretty nice. By noon, I'm in a parka, knit cap, gloves, and it's fucking snowing. That's the picture I sent you. And that afternoon, it was 70 degrees. And we're like, what is going on? I feel like I'm in Ohio or something.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
crazy.
Is it Cleveland?
Yeah.
Cleveland stand?
Cleveland is stand. Yeah, exactly. Where the hell am I? Um, those are pretty much it. Uh, just stuff that the civilian population just would not understand. You
Not at
get into
all.
these stupid things, and you spend 24/7 with guys for 3, 4, 5 months. You get to know them. You have moments that will live forever with each other, and you can pick up the phone after years of not talking, and you're
Yep.
right back to where you were with that guy, and you will forever. And I used to laugh at guys that say that they're my brothers forever. I never understood that until I got older, but it is absolutely 100% true. Like those guys could call and say, like I got chills right now.
Oh yeah.
Those guys could call at any time and say, I just need to talk to somebody, and let's do it. Let's talk. What's going on? Those are the things that will forever be awesome for me.
Yeah, I agree. And then like you mentioned some of the places you were at. Where would you say is like probably the worst place you served at?
I got two places I went that I wasn't supposed to be. Let's just put it that way. They were pretty
Okay,
shitty.
yeah, you don't
Pretty
have to
shitty.
break OPSEC or nothing, but
Right. They were pretty shitty. I'll tell you this though, when we landed, um, I had to fuel the aircraft, and we're on a coastline, and I turn around, I'm fueling at the SPR and back panel on the C-130, and I turn around and the fuel guy, let's just say he was dark haired, dark eyed. We'll leave it at that. And he winks at me. He fucking winked at me. So I don't know if he's trying to fuck me or kill me.
yeah.
And I'm like, can we get the fuck out of here, please? Let's just, we stripped everything. We sanitized, no IDs, no patches, no anything, bag of cash when we go in. And this is fucking crazy. If nobody's ever going to believe these stories, that you have. And it's 100% true. It's 100% true. That was kind of shitty. Afghanistan was bad, obviously. Um, Iraq a couple times. That first time you get fucking shot at, or you think you're getting shot at, it's all it's uber quiet, and it's literally like everything stands still. And we're at 8,000 feet at about 200 knots, and our missile warning goes off, and everybody freezes, right? Everybody's doing their job. They're looking at 9 to 12, 10 to 2, 12 to 3. The guys in the back are looking. and it's just quiet, and you're waiting for that fucking missile to come up your ass, and your asshole clenches so tight, and that seat cushion just sucks right up in your butt crack, and you swear to God it's forever, and it's probably 8-10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And then it clears, and you're like, all right, I'm not dead. Let's keep going, and you don't process that shit right then and there. You process it when you're back home, or you're back in your bunk at your safe space. I can't believe I said safe space. you're in your bunk or whatever where you're at, and nothing's gonna happen that night, and you're just like, wow, that was fucking intense,
Yeah.
And then the
And
second time it happens, you're just like, yeah, whatever.
yeah. You always have to have that first one to break
The
the
first
seal
one breaks the cherry. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then what was one of the best places you say you served at?
The most beautiful place I've ever been is a tie between Crete and Scotland. I absolutely love Scotland. Crete because I had been flying for 4 months in the Middle East, and everything's brown, right? And the first place we land is Crete, and it's absolutely beautiful. There's green grass, there's colorful buildings, people are all wearing clothes that are colorful, and you're inundated with spectacular scenery, the mountain, the clouds at the mountain peak, the ocean. It's amazingly beautiful, and I'll never ever forget that. And then
Sounds
Scotland.
like leaving the Wizard of Oz, after all that
Oh,
gray and brown and
yeah,
colorlessness, and then boom.
exactly. My daughter just said the same thing. I'm trying to remember where she stopped first. I don't remember where she stopped first. Germany, I think. She took a rotator home from Saudi, and I think it was Germany that she stopped. And she said, "Oh my God, Dad, the color." I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're not used to seeing all that. So yeah, I'd say Crete and Scotland were absolutely beautiful. As far as stateside, I've been to 44 different states with the Air Force, 22, 23 countries, something like that. And yeah, I just absolutely Panama was amazing. I got to go fishing on the Suez Canal, catching peacock bass in a little 4-man John boat, and one of those big cargo ships passed us, and it was just, you want to feel insignificant to be on a little 4-man boat next to one of them ginormous cargo ships, man. It was amazing. It was amazing. Absolutely, just incredible experiences that'll never ever be forgotten.
Yeah, I got to do the opposite side. I was on the Theodore Roosevelt aircraft carrier, and during my deployment, we had to go through the Suez Canal
Yeah.
because some shit had sparked up in Iraq. So we were going through to the Red Sea. And I mean, it's just like you're on that aircraft carrier, and all you see is the sand because it covers the
Right.
canal, So it's like almost like we're sand surfing, but underneath is like it's barely fitting through there. It's pretty badass. And you look down at all the people down there, like, yep.
I got to fly over that area, and we got to see it. I got to see some pyramids, and Paris from the sky, and the Eiffel Tower, and the White Cliffs of Dover. Some of them visions, man. I'm a guy that lives in the moment. I don't take a lot of pictures, and those are some of the things. I don't like using the word wish because it makes it seem to me like you don't want to do the work for something. But if I could have known what I'd be like now, 25, years after, sir, whatever, to have some of those pictures and some of those memories would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I've always been like a picture guy, and people would make fun of me, but now it's like, I got them all scanned into my, on the computer and everything. Like, man, this is when we were in Greece. This is when we were in Italy,
Yeah.
And so I was doing, I was a teenager with selfies before it was cool, But and that was, of course, but as the drinking started, then it was just like, don't leave your camera and forget it laying around.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But what's one of your pet peeves that you have today, like with civilians since transitioning from the military?
Fuckers with white first world problems that just let them eat them up. You have no idea what it's like. I never understood the word sacrifice. Like, what am I sacrificing? I wanted to do this. I'm not sacrificing anything. But then as I get older and I miss basketball games, I miss
Yeah.
birthdays, you know, I miss family gatherings. And not that I miss it emotionally, it's that you're just physically not there, right? When civilians come to me and they start talking about how, you know, the car's not running right, or they're, you know, they're down to $50 in their bank account, and you know they need a tire, or um, you know, we don't have any snacks in the fucking fridge. I mean, little shit. You know, my fucking internet doesn't work right. I'm always constantly buffering, or uh, just first world problems. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, you have no fucking idea what it's like to not have anything. You know, get out of
Pornhub
your
keeps skipping on me. It's horrible.
Pornhub. I can't navigate Pornhub. I don't like Pornhub.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan either. Sorry, didn't mean to throw you off there, but it just sounds like something they'd be complaining about.
Well,
Like,
yeah, and
shit, I had a VHS tape. I had to sneak it around when mom and dad weren't around in a VCR. Tell me about your problems, kid.
right, right. But I mean, those are the types of things. When the 1% with a problem control the 99% without that problem, that's the thing that bothers me a lot. You
Hmm.
know, like, everybody else is living just fine. What? Why do I have to change my life to suit yours as the 1%? Why shouldn't your 1% come up to my 99? You
Yeah.
know, I don't know. It's just
Oh, and especially now with some of the things that it's like I know when I raised my right hand and they and I signed that contract, they owned me. I had no say so.
right.
I had to conform to the military. The military didn't have to conform to my lifestyle.
Correct.
And to see some of that happening a different direction now, it just blows my freaking mind. How are you war ready? You know?
Yeah, well, my daughter has said a few things, you know, about the service and the kinds of training that they're sitting in. I don't know what you guys did in the Navy, but the Air Force is 100% like computer-based training almost. And
Oh yeah.
the things that they make them sit through are just, come on, people. This is like normal human being shit. Why do you need to force it down my throat every 6 months?
Yeah.
You know, it's just be a fucking decent human being and life will be fine.
Yep. And then what is something that you will always carry with you from your time of service?
Good or bad?
Either or.
Good. I absolutely loved it. You know, it was hard. It was hard at times. It was fun at times. It was exciting at times. It was scary at times. But I am 100% happy that I did it. Um, the bad, and this will never ever leave me. At 19, I was called a red rope in the Air Force, and you're kind of like one of the longer staying individuals at tech school. You become a leader, and you're the one on the shift, right? So there's only one red rope per shift, and I was it for like 6 months. And I had this guy that kept coming into my room a couple, 3 times a week, drunk every night, drunk every time he'd come in, and he'd just talk, right? And he'd cry how he didn't feel like he mattered, how he didn't think his mom loved him, how he was a failure. I'm like, bro, you're in the Air Force, everything's cool, you know. And this is long before we had suicide awareness training, before we had any of that stuff. And just before Christmas, he was in my room and bawling and saying he didn't want to keep going, and how upset he was that his sister got more attention than he did. And when we got back after Christmas break, uh, OSI came to me and told me that he blew his head off with a shotgun on Christmas Eve in his mom's backyard.
Ooh.
And the thing that sticks with me is I don't remember his name. And that bothers me a lot, that I can't remember him. I mean, I remember him vividly. I just don't remember his name. That's what sticks with me.
Gotcha.
Sorry to bring you down, but
Yeah.
that's, you know,
That's
another thing that sticks with me too, and civilians don't understand. You know, I was having a rough morning over there, and I picked up a chief E9, E9 or E8, I don't remember. But he said, Ange, I'm going to fly with you today. I just need to get some seat time to keep myself current. I'm not taking anything away from you. Just do your job. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm an E7. You know, he's not going to give me any shit. And we're flying, and we fly into, it's Bagram or Kandahar? Kandahar. We fly into Kandahar, and we're sitting at the pad waiting on fuel, waiting on a load. Fuel truck's late, load's late, just hanging out. Like, what in the hell is taking so goddamn long? And then the load shows up. And the load was the personal effects of the 3 airmen that were killed the night before in a rocket attack. And my complete attitude changed right then and there. You know, all right, the mission is now to get these guys their stuff home, get it back to their families. My day is not bad. Let's do this. So there's my daughter's dog. You know, that's the kind of shit that's just, it's never going to leave you, you know. And to be able to convey that type of feeling, or not harbor it, not hold it in, and be able to get it out with other people that know, is a huge therapy for me. You know, just to be around individuals who understand the shit that we went through is okay. It's great. It's easy. You can relax.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm with another veteran, I don't have to have my back to the door, or my back to the wall and my face to the door. I don't have to count how many people are in there are a threat. I know I got somebody else with me, and I can learn to relax a little bit. My hypervigilance will probably never ever leave me. I just have to learn how to control it. My son, the other day, we were out. I don't remember where we were. My son's 18, and he could tell I was a little bit on edge, and he just kind of grabbed my arm, grabbed my hand, and he just said, "Dad, listen, nobody's trying to kill you here." And while it helped, it hurt too, because my son notices when I'm on edge like that.
Yeah.
And that's what hurt, that I had brought that into my family, you know. Yeah, that's something else I don't ever probably leave.
Man. Yeah, I had somebody say something to me the other day, and it kind of like, you know, I didn't go off. I just kind of let it go because, you know, this person's been feeding into my life and helping me out quite a bit with some things, but he's not a veteran. He doesn't get stuff. But then, you know, he was talking about some of the veteran organizations that we have out there that, you know, hook us up. He's just like, it's like, I don't get it. Why is everything free for you guys?
Have a nice day. God bless. Have a nice fucking day, Dick.
Yeah. You know, and yeah, that was just one of those I just kind of had to let, like, because my immediate how I wanted to respond right then and there wouldn't have been, you know, good for the continuation of our relationship.
I don't call it an entitlement to us. I think we earned it. You know,
exactly.
Especially the guys that deployed. You know, not that there's anything wrong against, you know, 4 years stationed in the Navy at Pearl Harbor and never getting on a boat. You know, I get it. Everybody has a job to do. But every single one of us now in the service voluntarily went. And part of that contract states that the government will take care of us when we're done. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
That they're honoring a contract.
Well, this particular thing was involving, like, you know, I don't know if you heard that organization, We Defy.
I have not.
Foundation. They help. They pay for veterans to get into jujitsu and learn
Nice.
jujitsu, and, you know, they'll do a scholarship for your first year, which is, you know, I've been involved in, and it's something that's helped me out tremendously. On top of, you know, doing this podcast, getting me out there, keep me active, doing physical stuff,
Right.
camaraderie with the people on the team, and this and that. Well, you know, it was just like, it was just brought up because my scholarship's done, and now I got to start paying, which I'm fine with paying because I love what I've been doing. But it's just like, I just don't get why all these things, you know, are free for you guys.
You know, it's a respect thing from other veterans and civilians who want to give back. That's what it is, right? It's not that we are entitled to it. It's not that we deserve it. It's that other people want to give back and show their appreciation to us, and that's how they do it. Just like our organization, SAVE22.vet. We don't ask for anything other than you prove that you're a veteran, right? And we can offer fishing trips. Well, those fishing trips, some of them we have to pay for, but most of them are fishing boat captains that have donated their time, their skills, their gas to give veterans a place to go, to give them something to do other
Yep.
than sit in their house in their own head.
Moment of reprieve, man.
That's it. And they put them, these programs put veterans with other veterans with the like mind. Whether you want to go fishing, you want to go racing. I'm a motorsports outreach coordinator with SAVE22, and we take veterans to the track with NHRA, Lex June, top fuel dragster. He takes us in for the entire 4 days. You get to see the setup of the car. You get to be on the starting line with the run. You're in the pits when they're tearing things down, rebuilding it. You get to see the inner workings of this stuff. And you're with other veterans who have a gearhead mentality. Mike Harmon Racing in Xfinity Series. Those guys are absolutely amazing to us. Absolutely amazing. Mike Harmon Racing Xfinity Series. Mike Harmon is a legend in NASCAR. He's one of the guys that hit the wall at Bristol when they used to have a gate and just disintegrated the car, and son of a bitch walked away. Right? You can look it up on YouTube, man. Mike Harmon Bristol wreck. And he just wants to give back. He just wants to give back. And, he gets us into the pits. He gets us into the garage. He brings guys in that just want to be part of something. Iggy Six Motorsports. I got your Six Motorsports out here in Carrollton. We get guys with Formula 3, Formula 4, FR America Racing Series, which is a driver development series in Indy type cars. So if you're into Indy style cars, you can come and do the same thing with us. Scott Goodyear, who's the president of FR America's F4 series, IndyCar champ, 500 runner up. We get involved with these guys and they just want to give back. That's all they want to do, and we just need to accept it.
Yeah.
It's
No,
hard.
it's a lifesaver for a lot of
It
guys, man,
is
to get
it
us out,
is
in a I mean, I know we used it earlier, in a safe space, and I know it's that there's a difference between, college kids needing, a place
right.
to go boo-hoo, and fucking veterans that have experienced like high trauma, hypervigilance constantly and don't want to fucking leave the house,
Right.
to get us out of our heads, to know that we're in an environment with a unit, with a new unit, basically,
Right. I can
and
get new brothers. Guys that
yeah,
have the same mentality, same thoughts running through their head. I talked with some Vietnam guys a few years ago, and they said that when they came back, you're up in Cleveland, right?
yeah,
So you remember Brecksville,
yep,
VA hospital when Brecksville was still around? I think they closed in like '03,
yeah. I used to
'04. I don't
when I
remember.
first came back from my last deployment, I used to go there quite a bit.
Yeah. So a lot of these guys would come back there and they were either inpatient or outpatient, but they would do like a golf outing. And whether these guys golfed or not, they would go.
Yeah,
And what they found was everybody's on edge, a little tipsy, not tipsy, a little apprehensive to share anything for maybe the first couple 3 holes, right? Get a beer in them. Those guys smoke a lot of marijuana, whatever. They start chilling out, and then they start talking, and then they start sharing experiences. And by the 18th hole, or even the 9th hole, whatever they were playing, they're hugging, they're high fiving, they're crying, they're getting their therapy, right?
yep,
Because I'm not going to fucking tell a civilian therapist who's never left the country, let alone my state, even my county, how it feels to be shot at, you know, 5,000 miles away from home, or write my will at 18, have letters to my wife and all 3 of my kids, my parents, just in case something happens, that my buddy's going to mail for me, when I'm dead. They don't understand that shit. And when you get with a guy that does understand that truly appreciates it. Now, don't get me wrong. There are, how 3 million veterans in this country, right? Probably 60% or more have no issue with it. No issue with their service, no issue with the things that they've done. But there's that group of us, and an even smaller group of us who have not been combat injured, who have not been blown up, who have not held our buddy's hand in combat while he passed away, that we still have some sort of, I never liked the word trauma, but that's exactly what it is. You know,
Yeah.
God forbid you're picking up the effects of the guys the night before, even hours before. Your perspective's going to change, right? My perspective on this situation has changed. Now I got to get this guy out of here. Now I got to make sure that, his family gets this stuff. We picked up a Fulberg colonel in Bagram, I think it was Bagram, who was going home on emergency leave for life-saving surgery for his daughter. I have a mission. I have to get this guy home. No matter what it takes, I'm getting this airplane out of here and we're going home. Things like that civilians just don't understand.
No.
I will be there for that guy. I will do it. And when you don't have that responsibility anymore, I think I told you when I retired, I was working for the FAA. I was a reservist. When I retired, I blew off all the transition stuff. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm fine. I've been a reservist. I have a home life. I was 8 years sober at the time. I'm not going to have any transitional problems. Well, them C-130s fly over my house every couple days, and they're at about 3,000, 2,000 feet, so I can see them on a clear day. It's fantastic. I'm working on airports. I'm working on facilities. I start to miss something, right? I start to get upset every night. I don't know how to be a husband. I don't know how to be a father. I don't know how to get up at the same time every day, to be at work at the same time every day, to be home at the same time every day. I don't have a plan. I'm not flying, right? I'm not going out flying on Tuesday. I'm not flying on Thursday. I'm not taking a 3-day trip on Friday. I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know how to do it. I didn't. And if it's all right, I'll talk about that darkest day I had right after the retirement, if you want.
Yeah, let me get
You want to get a couple other things done first?
yeah, let me get because I actually got a question and I'll lead right into that.
All right, fire away.
What is one of your greatest hopes for the country that you've been willing to give your life for?
Dude, peace and happiness. For real, peace and happiness. Get along. Understand that there's going to be people that don't agree with you, and that's okay. You don't have to force your opinion down their throat. I don't have to force my opinion down your throat. It's okay to disagree, right? We can still be friends. We can still be acquaintances. If you don't like something, change the fucking channel. You don't like something about yourself, change it. I haven't turned on the news and I can't tell you how many years. I turned all the alerts off on my phone. I don't even get weather alerts anymore. Like, it just doesn't matter. Today's today. I need to be 1% better than I was yesterday. And if the country could realize it, that all they need to do is work on themselves and not everybody else, take responsibility for your shit, man. Be accountable. You fuck up, you own it. Hey, man, I fucked up on that. Make an apology when you do it. You know, I think one one thing that could change the way our country is I don't want to say institute a draft, but make military service mandatory. 2 years. 2 years in the Army, 4 years in the Air Force, 3 years in the Marine Corps, something like that. So that you know what it is like to have the guy to your left and your right count on you. Whether it's working in finance or working on the flight line, and if you don't pull the right circuit breaker, that power is going to get down to that missile or that ejection seat, and it's going to kill somebody. Have that responsibility, have that accountability, and I think the country would change. I do.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
that's without getting right and left and red and blue, and that's just everybody. There's no politics. There's no right. There's no red and blue in the military. Do people talk
No.
about it? Absolutely. But I never once questioned whether that guy underneath that flag that I was bringing home was black, white, red. I didn't care. We all bled red, and they all signed an agreement, and I honored that agreement by taking care of him to get him home. And that's too many people don't understand what that's like.
No, not at all. It's like the things that, man, I remember how how we were too, how, we would talk to one another and how we'd bust each other's balls. It was just like, I mean, we went for the throat, but it was like our humor was just like fucking dark,
dark.
And if anybody in the civilian world were to hear that, like a Karen's head would explode. Like, what is, we'd be canceled in a heartbeat.
100%. 100%.
But the big deals that everybody's making about race, gender, I'm just like, are you kidding me, man? It was just like, we didn't give a shit, just as long as everybody did their job and I knew that you had my back,
Right. So you and I were in with, what did we start off with? 88 to 92 would have been what? Bush 1, right? So Bush 1.
I came in at 92.
Okay. So then you got Clinton with the don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
Right. Like, God, really? Are you serious? Don't ask, don't tell. Why do you need that policy? Right. If you're going to, I don't understand that. And then it was.
That's when it started. That's when the
infiltration
started. A lot of,
And I have no problem. No problem. My daughter's gay. I got no problem. None whatsoever. What you do in your bedroom is your fucking business.
Yeah.
If you're on that flight line with me and you do your job well, I don't care what you are. I don't.
Exactly.
I do not care. If you're not going to kill me, I'm happy. Right? If we're going to work together, if I can count on you and you can count on me, that's all that matters. I don't care. Right? Yeah. It's just a different world. And she seems to be having, the same types of thoughts. I don't care what you do in your bedroom. Come on out. Let's do this. Let's get it done. Let's go home. Let's have a beer. It's all good.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was just, that's how work had to get done. And it's just like, everybody could suspect or whatever, but it's like, I didn't give a shit. You're a decent person, whatever you did in your private time. Or, I mean, just like you said, with the politics and everything else, we just kept all that out, man. It's like, we were focused on the mission and we were focused on taking care of each other.
Yeah. It didn't matter. You asked what I think this country could do. I think how do I want to say this? If they could all just sit down and have a decent conversation like you and I are right now, without getting heated, without turning into a Karen, without being upset that they don't agree with you. Oh, you know what? I don't care. You don't agree with me? I don't care. I have my beliefs. You have yours. More power to you. I'm still going to, if you called me up and said, I'm thinking about killing myself, bro, let's talk. I don't care what you are. I don't care black, white, gay, homo. Well, I don't care. I don't care. You need help. I'm going to help you. But you got to help yourself too.
Like, during the past couple of years is just like, a lot has been exposed of people seem to be like more vocal or more ballsy on social media, I guess.
Yeah, because they've never been fucking punched in the throat.
Yeah, well, yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of people I know from the music world haven't been, probably need to be, but it's neither here nor there. But anyway, I can read their stuff and and I'm just like, wow, I didn't know you really felt this way, man. It's like, you guys put together a going away party for me. You put together a welcome home party for me. You were all for supporting the military, or was it just like a virtue signaling thing?
Right.
When you guys did that stuff, I don't know, but I just like, I could scroll
just
past
the thing
their
to
stuff.
do.
I would read their stuff and I'd be like, man, it kind of hurts to hear them posting this stuff, but you know what? I'm not going to change their mind by commenting. So I'm just going to scroll by. But if, heaven forbid, I put something that I feel out there, they feel like right away we got to, and I'm just like, man. But like you said, when we get together face to face, it's a whole different outcome, different story,
Yes.
Yes. But going back to, and kind of getting into, what one of the main things we wanted to talk about, what can we do to break the stigma of mental health and PTSD?
Awareness. Just keep talking about it. Just keep talking about it. Just letting people know it's okay to not be okay. I've said that for a couple years. Without getting to the far right or the far left, right? And I don't mean political. I just mean the extremes, either one case or another. You're not gonna be a ridiculously masculine, toxic individual, and you're not going to be a, what do you want me to say? How do I say it? Um, a wimp, right? Lose all your masculinity, right? These the world was founded by masculine men. There's no question about that. They also had decent women, incredible women beside them or behind them, along with them. The strong are going to survive. That's it. And being strong doesn't mean you don't have feelings or emotions. It means you know how to express them and how to deal with them, right? You can't you can't have a bad day. Look, you can have a bad 10 minutes, but don't let that ruin your entire fucking day. You're allowed to be down, you're allowed to be depressed, you're allowed to not want to do anything. Just don't stay there. Look, man, if you want to curl up on your couch and watch fucking cartoon movies all day long, then fucking roll up on your couch and do cartoon movies all day long. Just
Yeah.
know that tomorrow morning you need to get up and do something. You know, um, raising awareness of mental health. I speak on it a lot. Just be willing to be 100% honest with yourself about what you're feeling. Be 100% honest with the way that you act when you have those feelings, and be willing to change them. You can't expect somebody else to do the work for you. You have to do it. I'll teach you. I'll give you the tools that I use. I'll tell you my story. Maybe you can relate, maybe you can't. But I guarantee if you hang around long enough, somebody's going to tell you your story back to you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you've been in the rooms, you know, the rooms of AA, you know.
Yep.
If we could all, if you could apply those first three steps of AA, which are, you know, admit I was powerless over alcohol and that my life had become unmanageable. That's number one. It doesn't have to be alcohol. Just admit you're unmanageable right now.
Yep.
Look, I don't know how to get through this. Two, believe in a power greater than ourselves to restore ourselves to sanity. That's not saying you have to believe in God or the definition of God. That's just saying that there's something out there controlling me bigger than myself.
Hmm.
And I just have to surrender to that. Meaning, there's some things that I just cannot control. The only thing that I can control is my reaction to the situation when it is presented to me. And I can go full on psycho, or I can accept it, or I can walk away from it. You know, you have choices. Which what you choose is going to determine the path that you take. You know, and for the life of me right now, I can't remember number three. I can't remember step number three for some reason. Oh, look, I got the book. It's right here.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say step 3. You're powerless over alcohol. Lives became manageable. Saw through prayer, meditation to um.
Good Lord, man. What is wrong with us?
Yeah.
Into action. How it works. Step 70 or page 70. This is a soft copy of version 1 of the AA book. I will look it up and we will get back to that. But that's what I think. I think, you know,
Yeah.
the mission of SAVE22 is raising awareness, that, you know, you don't have to be.
Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him.
There you go. There you go. Thank you. So
And
making
it
that
was there.
decision,
Had to
yeah,
make the
making that
decision.
decision doesn't say I got to believe in God, Buddha, Allah. You know, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be that. You just need. I had a guy in AA that turned his will and life over to a tree in his front yard, and what he did every day before he left for work is he'd go to that tree and he'd do the step 3 prayer, right? And then when he'd come home, he'd do the step 3 prayer again, and he just gave everything up to that tree. He's not not crazy. He's not saying that that tree's going to make my life decisions. He's just saying that I can't control everything, so I'm going to let this tree do it. Listen, I'll tell you my God moment, my aha moment in sobriety was July 4th, 2008, and I was working at the airport in Cleveland. I was the only guy on shift, and my wife and kids, I had all three of them by then, were at a family picnic and party. and it's a cookout, and it's at a lake house, and they're boating and water skiing, and there's camaraderie, and they got fireworks, and I'm like this all day, right? For those of you just listening, I was shaking, right? I was sweating all day. I was just in a pissed off, bad fucking mood. I had been not drinking for, well, April 26th was my last drunk. So April 26th to July 4th. And on the way home, it's about an hour and a half drive, and I'm in this 1999 Cavalier piece of shit. And I'm crying the whole way home, right? I left work at 11. I get home about 12:30, quarter of 1. And I'd have a 4-mile back dirt road to drive home to my house. My driveway is big, gigantic ankle breaker rocks. I'm going to start crying again. And I knew that they had been out all day and having a good time, and I was at work, and I had a resentment. I was pissed off. And I just got out of my car and for some reason fell straight to my knees. Straight to my knees on those rocks. I threw my hands up in the driveway, and I just said, I can't fucking do this. I want to drink so bad. I want to be drunk so bad. I cannot live like this. Take this fucking problem from me. I haven't had the urge to drink since. God moment, brain moment, train my brain. I don't know. All I know is from that moment on, 14 and a half years later, I don't have an urge to drink. That's all I know. You know, you just need to turn it over and admit that there's some things you cannot fucking control.
Yeah.
And when you do that, when I do that, I'm a much better person. I'm a much better person.
And, one thing I've learned too is just like, I need to do the maintenance.
Oh, absolutely.
To keep that, it's just like, I can't think my way out of a thinking problem. I can't lift myself out of the bucket that I'm standing in,
Right.
So it's like, that's where it's like, I need the camaraderie of the rooms, and hit the meetings and have a sponsor to talk to and stuff like that. Cause it's like, trying to figure it all out on my own. The ego is what got me in so much of my trouble. Ego still gets me in trouble, and we're taught almost the opposite in our military training,
we are
to handle the problems. And even though we're taught to delegate and kind of, work together in a team environment and stuff. But at the same time, it's just like, we got to be the ultimate responsible.
I wrote something down the other day when I was having one of my moments, and you bring it up in the conversation right now, and I think it's fitting. It is a weird thing when you realize why you are here. When you figure out why you are still here, your calling, your destiny. It's validating your choice to live instead of choosing to isolate, or worse yet, choosing to end your own life. Actually knowing that nothing in this world can stop you. Nothing you faced, your demons, you stood toe to toe with them, and they blinked. They lost. You won. You, you are the hero of your own story, right? You make the decision how you're going to write that guy's character. How are you going to respond? How are you going to proceed? How are you going to move forward? When you become comfortable with yourself and admit to yourself that I have flaws, I have issues, and I'm going to work on them, bro, there ain't nothing better. It's like a huge 80-pound ruck being picked up off your back, and you let somebody else carry it for a little bit. So many of us don't share our war stories with our family because we don't want them to have the burden that we carry. My philosophy on that is their imagination is going to make that situation 10 times worse than it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I don't want them to think that way. Now, have I shared a couple stories with my wife? Absolutely. Have they changed the way that she looks at me? Absolutely. But my wife now also knows signs of me getting into my own head, right? I hate going to shop. Whether it's at the mall, the little tiny giant eagle, grocery store, whatever. It don't matter. Walmart, fuck Walmart. I can't stand being in Walmart, right?
Yeah.
Because I get I get I get anxious, and then I get my brain going 1,000 different directions, and I can't focus on what I'm in there to do.
And you're like,
And
why are these motherfuckers all in pajamas still?
yeah, like fucking, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Fucking get dressed. Or their refusal to look at anybody. Right? If I don't see you, you're not really there, so I'm just going to be in your fucking way. You know? Do you know how far a smile can go?
Yeah.
When you make contact with somebody in the aisle or wherever you're at, if you just look and catch eyes and smile immediately, pressure is removed, right? It's gone. But it's the individuals that refuse to look, that refuse to say anything or excuse me or just barrel their way in. It just drive me fucking nuts. So we were just down in South Carolina, and I went to get we went to the store to make chili for my daughter and her roommates and watch some football for the day. And I hadn't been in there 5 6 minutes, and I'm white knuckling the carriage, right? The buggy, the cart, whatever you guys call it. And Trish just turned around to me and she put her hands on the front of the cart and she just said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm losing it." And she said, "Okay." And she told me exactly what she was going to do and where she was going to go. She said, "I'm going over here to pick up this, and then we'll focus on your chili stuff." And I said, "Okay." So I followed her over. She picked up her stuff and she goes, "Okay, what do you have for the chili right now?" I said, "Well, all I've got right now is the meat. I need to find the beans and the seasonings and that." And she goes, "Okay, let's go get the beans." So we got the beans. And then she says, "Okay, the seasonings are over here. Let's go get the seasonings. Do you have the tomato stuff?" "No, I don't." "Let's go get the tomato stuff." Right. So it was like a direction, right? She gave me direction and something to focus on. And she's my savior. There's no question that I would be dead if it wasn't for my wife. There's no question. And you know, I'm very good at giving other people advice. I'm very bad at following my own.
Yeah,
You know, you know what I
I'm a
mean?
member of that club.
Right, right. We all are. So uh, Thursday night, Jason Rutledge, he's soon to be the executive director of SAVE22, but he's a co-founder of SAVE22. He and I went down to a conference in just outside of Cincinnati on Thursday. Thursday was my wife's birthday. My brain told me as long as I make her a nice dinner on Wednesday, I spend the night with her on Wednesday, watching movies, whatever she wants to do. I made grilled salmon, broiled up some asparagus, made homemade sweet potato fries. That this would be okay, right? Because I was here that day and not on her birthday, and I've missed plenty of birthdays. Friday when I get home, she won't even give me a kiss. She's pissed. The dog has been shitting throughout the house. She got a hold of chocolate or a pen or something, and this little tiny 7-month-old puppy is just wrecking her day. So I don't know where to go with this. I don't know what to do. So I came downstairs, turned on something in my man cave here, and chilled out for about an hour. And then I came upstairs and I said, "Listen, if it's the dog, I'm sorry about the dog. It's not my problem. It wasn't my fault, not my problem." And she lost it. She blew up at me. It's not that. I feel underappreciated. I feel this. I feel that. And she held everything in until the final straw and she couldn't hold it anymore. And then the next morning, everything was fine. But what I had realized was with everything going on in my life with SAVE22, the podcast, I'm actually moving my parents. I just moved my parents into an assisted living home. I'm taking over, right? So I have their money. I have their bank accounts. I have their house. I have to sell it. I have to clean it. I have to move everything out. I have to get them in. I have to be POA. I have to, all this other stuff that I'm going through. I forgot about her,
Hmm.
and that hurt me that I let her feel that way over the past month, 6 weeks, you
Yeah.
know, and I had to come back and sit with her and explain to her my mindset on the whole thing and that it never was I'm ignoring you or I don't appreciate you. We've been together 25 years, married for 22. It's not that I don't appreciate you. I got inundated with other things and because of the way my mind works, I have to focus on one, maybe two things at a time. And I just let you slip. And you're the most important thing in my life. I need to redirect my focus. Profusely apologized. You can say words. She used to use these words on me all the time when I was first getting sober. You can say you're sorry all fucking day long. It doesn't
Yeah.
change anything. You have
Show
to
me.
change. You have to show me.
Yeah.
So I made a commitment to show her that I appreciate her more. And all she was asking for was a little help, a little more help around the house. If you see a load of laundry needs done, do the laundry. And I explained to her, well, when I do the laundry, you yell at me for the way I fold things or for the way I separate things. And it's not a yelling, it's just a critique, right? And I take it personally. So I don't do it. Well, then she has to do it, and then she feels overwhelmed by doing it. Wipe down the counter when you're done with the dishes. I hate that you leave wet water on the counter. Okay, I'll wipe the counter down. It's a little bit different. Effective communication, man,
Yeah.
that's one of the things I've learned over the last couple years, Bo, is, man, you got to be able to get those feelings out. You really do. One way or the other, whether they're good, bad, indifferent, you have to be able to talk to them, especially with your partner. Especially with your partner, because that's the person you're going to spend the most of the time with.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, my wife and I both work from home now. So she's upstairs in the office. I'm downstairs here in my office, and we can go days without ever leaving the house. And it gets tough. It gets
Yeah.
tough. You got to be able to communicate that kind of stuff. It's not a personal attack. It's not a critique. It's not a criticism. It's just, it's something that she needs. Her priorities have changed over the years. When we first met, all she wanted to do was be a stay-at-home mom. I got really tired working two jobs for 8-10 years. I'm like, look, I'm tired. You got to go back. So she goes back to work. Well, when COVID hit, she got moved back to the house. I was already working out of the house. Priorities are going to change. Things
Yeah.
need done a little bit differently. You got to talk about shit like that.
Yep. Well, speaking of, being able to talk about our feelings and not letting them just fester and what that can turn into, you touched on it a couple times, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to share about your darkest day.
Man, it's bad. It was bad. It was about a year after I retired. It was a Sunday around October. I think it was September. I was still riding, so September, October here in Ohio, and had an argument with her, and I don't remember what the argument was about. I just remember what she said, and what she said was, "When are you gonna fucking change? You've been sober for 8 years. Your kids, you're still an asshole. Nobody wants to be around you. I don't want to be around you. Your kids don't want to be around you. When are you gonna fucking change?" And instead of changing, I walked upstairs, grabbed $100 bill out of my stash, grabbed my 45, put a hollow point magazine in, chambered around, went down to my truck, went down to the bar, sat in the bar parking lot, just bawling like a little girl. Nothing against little girls. I was just bawling like a little girl. And I said, I'm going to go in, back, grab a bottle of Jack Daniels, throw the $100 bill down, take the bottle, chug a bottle of Jack, walk out to my truck and blow my head off. I'm done. I don't know how to live anymore. I was just defeated. Um, Something in me. I mean, I went through everything. I went through where to put the gun. Right. I had the safety off my finger on the trigger, and I went underneath my chin. I went to the temple. I went to my mouth. I changed my hands. Went to the left hand. And all I could think about was, God forbid, what if my son finds me? I don't want my son to see that. My son was 10 at the time, 10, 12 years old at the time. My daughter was 15 and my other daughter was 21. We were having a lot of problems with the 21-year-old. The VA had said they wanted $24,000 back because of their error. I had lost my VA compensation check because of it. I was fighting with them. They were taking it all back at once. I was going to lose about $3,000 a month. I just couldn't do it anymore. And something in me, something triggered. I don't know how long I sat down there, but something triggered in me that said, "Wait a minute, this isn't you. You've never felt like this before. What's going on?" So I put the weapon down and I just sat there for a moment and I thought, you know what? I haven't been taking the meds from the VA for about a week. I ran out. And I had an incident with the VA counselor, meds doc there, about a week prior. And I hated showing up early because I always was late getting in. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll show up on time and then I'll still be late because they're always backed up.
Yeah.
Well, I showed up early, and the nurse was actually a nurse up at my air base, and they ask the same fucking questions. And you're going in every 30 fucking days, and they're asking the same questions. Do you have guns in your house? Do you feel like killing yourself? Do you feel like hurting anybody else? And I'm just like, I'm not answering your fucking questions anymore. They're the same, right? Write down what the fuck I wrote down last time. I got to piss. So I get up, I walk out, I go piss. I come back, and it's now 3 o'clock, which is my appointment time. At 20 after, the doc comes out and says, "All right, I'm ready for you." And now I'm pissed. I have to be home at 4 because my daughter had a wasp nest in her room. They had gotten underneath the siding through the window and they were coming into her room and she got stung the night before. So I called an exterminator. They're coming out at 4 o'clock. So I tell the doc this and I say, "Look, you've got about 10 minutes. I have to get home." She goes, "Well, you live your life in a box. Nothing's ever going to get accomplished if you don't stretch that box a little bit." And I don't remember what got said after that, but something to the effect of, "Based on what you've told me, there's nothing I can do for you." So I looked right at her and I said, "And what the fuck am I doing here?" And she didn't have an answer. So I left. 5, 7 days later, I'm in my truck, bawling my eyes out, ready to kill myself. So something told me that it had to be a withdrawal from the drugs, right? So many of them psych drugs that they give you for depression and anxiety, one of the side effects is suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
But for 3 years, they had been changing my meds every 30 or 60 days, changing the dose, changing the med, changing everything. I had shot up to 275 pounds. I gained 65 pounds in 1 year after leaving the service. I had no motivation, no drive, no libido. You know, I like to say my dick shrunk and my shit was green because I was all fucked up. Something told me, put the gun down. This is the meds. Go to an AA meeting. So I went down to an AA meeting that Sunday night and I just cried for 2 hours. I called a buddy the next day and I said, "Man, I tried to kill myself last night." And he said, "Don't move. I'll be right there." And that buddy is Dave. And he actually works with me. He's an Air Force veteran, 20 years. Jumped out with the 82nd as a mechanic. He was their generator and light guy. And he drove an hour and a half to my house. And he just hugged me. He just hugged me. And he just said, "Whatever it is, we'll get through it together." And I never forgot that. So I go see my civilian doc and I'm, freaked out. It's withdrawal from these fucking drugs that they're giving me. She gives me some Valium, calms me down, hooks me up with a civilian counselor who had actually done a 3-year route with the VA, so she understood the system. I go see her. She puts me on some stuff. She listened. She listened to me, and that was weird because the VA didn't seem to listen. And we got through it, right? So we got through those couple days, and then Saturday, Jason with SAVE22 was having a poker run fundraiser for SAVE22. And I called him up and I said, "Bro, I still want to die. I can't do this anymore. I don't know what the fuck to do." He said, "Get on your goddamn motorcycle and come here." So I got on my motorcycle and I went there and I rode with them the whole day. And I saw what they were doing afterwards. And what they were doing afterwards was a get together, a cookout, a barbecue, a live band, all veterans, well, mostly veterans, and people who cared about veterans, and guys that had the same feelings that I did. Again, not combat injured, didn't, I don't have a PTSD diagnosis this time. And I just hung out with them. And that gave me another purpose, right? All right, well, let me see where this goes. So I start calling Tom Indorf, the founder of SAVE22. And he starts explaining my story to me through his story and telling me that, look, you're not the only one. I'm not combat injured either. And these are the things that I deal with. This is how I handled it. And I distinctly remember about 3:30, he said, I'll call you every day at 3:30 when I get off work. I said, okay, fine. And he calls me one day, and I just went and laid on my bed and just listened to him and filled in, excuse me, every once in a while with how I was feeling. And it really helped. It was cathartic. It was therapy. And this guy's not a paid fucking therapist. He's just a vet who who had the same feelings that I did. So I stuck it out, and I'm still here. Um, that that day was that day was by far my worst. My worst. I mean, I've had other deals since where I think, you know what, I could just downshift and ride 100 miles an hour into the front end of that semi and I won't feel a goddamn thing and everything will be over. But then I remember how great my life has become since I surrendered 6 years ago with SAVE22 and Iggy Six Motorsports. And I've got to meet some fantastic people, and other people look to me for things. Fuck, man, I won a humanitarian award from the FAA this year, and that was huge. And I'm not an accolades guy. I'm not a awards guy. I don't do it for that. But to be able to have an impact on other people while still taking care of myself, there's no better feeling. Because you've been in the rooms that so many people go there because they're ordered to go. Less than what 1% get it and stay sober that attend these AA meetings.
Yeah.
Well, 99% of us guys don't ever talk about our feelings and we end up killing ourselves. It's not a joke anymore. Well, how come you don't ever cry or show any emotion? Well, that's because at 44, I'm going to have a fucking heart attack due to stress. Fuck that. Talk about it. You think
Yep.
whatever you want about me, man. You call me a pussy, a weak, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I'm, I know what I am. I know who I am, and I'm very comfortable in that now. And that's really hard for some people, really hard. But when you hear it from somebody else who's not a paid I don't take any money for Straight Talk podcast. I don't have any sponsors. Save 22 is a 100% volunteer organization. We pay none of our board members, none of our volunteers are paid. We care. And to show veterans, specifically veterans, but just regular people, that there are people that care, that aren't just all talk on Facebook, that aren't just all talk on Twitter, that will show up when you say you need help, that will get you what you need to get, that can come through on a promise when we make it. That's what I think needs to be done. Because so many of us veterans have put in our faith in the VA and it just doesn't work out. Then they don't know where to turn. You know, I've stood shoulder to shoulder with Sherrod Brown, state senator or congressman, right? No, senator,
Senator, yeah.
and told him my plight with the VA and how horrible it was that the VA is just allowed to go back as far as they want and take money from you when it's no fault of the veteran. I had a 90-some-year-old woman, blind, her son call me and said, the VA took my mom's benefit because of a mistake they made 15 years ago on my dad's payments. My dad's dead. My mom's blind. She has no idea what to do, or where to go. Why is this happening? So the people that I've met after sharing my story, James Powers, who's an incredible veterans advocate, he helped author a bill that, well, we've gotten line items in. We haven't gotten the whole bill passed yet, but he introduced me to some people in Sherrod Brown's office, and I've been able to correspond with them, telling them the vets issues that we see down here, and we've gotten line items put in where the VA can only go back 5 years now. They can't go back 15, 20 years. They have to do an internal investigation on whether it was the veteran's malice or lying that caused the overpayment. And if so, then they can only garnish up to 25% of that vet's payment until that debt is paid.
Yeah.
They also have determined or decided with this bill, these line items, that through that internal audit of the situation for the veteran, if they determine that the problem was created by the VA itself, that debt is forgiven. So no matter how much it is or how much of an overpayment it is, if the veteran reached out and said, "Hey, you've overpaid me. Hey, I did this paperwork. Hey, I have proof of this. You made the mistake." That debt's forgiven. I'm very proud of those things that we've done to help veterans out these days.
Those are
And it,
huge, man.
and it never would have happened had I pulled that fucking trigger that day. I've got to hang out with Al Unser Jr., Indy 500 champion. I've made a phone call as soon as I've got to DC last month. I made a phone call, sent a text to one of the staffers for Sheriff Brown's office. "Hey, you got time for a meeting?" "Yeah, I actually got time at 3:30. Be in this room at the Senate building at 3:30. "Great. And they let me right in, and I talk and I share some stories that have happened and what we're seeing now and what they're trying to do. And those are the things that you don't think about when you've got that pistol in your mouth, how much of an impact you can have just by sharing your story. It's be willing to talk about it, man. Be willing to talk about it. And
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, well, first of all, like a lot of what you were saying, man, it was just like once again hearing my story through
right,
yours. I know when I first got sober, I wasn't really working the program and getting in
right,
meetings and stuff. So that's why a lot didn't change. I mean, I wasn't drinking, but I went through that whole part too, where it's just like I'm an asshole. My kids didn't want nothing to do with me. They went to live with their mom, and and it was like my sponsor telling me, he's just like, well, don't tell them you're changing, show them.
right,
When I finally started working a program and getting a sponsor, I'm like, I want my kids back. Well, don't tell them you're changing, show them. And
right.
and that's what I try and do every day. But I mean, man, that was like really hitting me when you were sharing that. And it's like, yeah, I still struggle with those demons, with those thoughts when I'm having a rough time, man. And I'm just like, man, maybe I'm worth more to my kids dead than I am alive, you know? And I know that's a whole another enemy that's attacking me in my head, that
Yep,
those are
yep.
lies. And I just I get so much out of these conversations like we're having right now. I get so much out of being able to, majority of my healing started when I was able to be vulnerable. When I said enough's
Yes,
enough, fucking think whatever the fuck you want about me. This is where I'm at and this is how I feel. Snot's running down my face,
yeah,
tears
yeah,
running, whatever,
yeah.
you know. I don't care. I had enough. I'm waving the white flag right now.
Yep.
And then that's when the growth starts.
It is. It
And
is.
now I'm able to do this more productively, and I'm able to have guys like you on to share these stories that somebody out there is going to be able to fucking hear, that needs to hear this,
Right.
you know? And it's just been a huge blessing. And I'll even get like, some people that don't get it, because like you, I don't get fucking paid for this either. I mean,
Right.
I have one veteran company that sponsors me, but I'll occasionally get free product from them. I don't.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I'm not Joe Rogan.
No.
but
And
but but
I don't want to be Joe Rogan.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. I just
it's
want to
my
be that guy.
purpose, man. I feel like I have something that I'm doing now, and I feel like I don't know, man. I love it. People can
So
bust balls and things they don't get, man. But I'm enjoying having these talks because it's helping me stay sober today. It's helping me, you know, add notes or add tools to my toolbox that's going to help me grow. That I can also get. It's also providing me information and resources that I can share with others that need it.
I do, and you strike me as the type of person like I am, where this interaction today with you for the past whatever hour and 15 or whatever we've been on is great for about 2 hours after we're done, and
Yeah,
then I think I have to do something else, and I'm not good enough. My brain goes to I didn't do enough
yeah,
instead of I don't well, I get relishing or accepting the fact that I helped you out today. That should be enough for today. It's not for me. I have to go more. I want to go more. And when I don't, I get down on myself. And I need this I need this interaction. I need this. It's almost an approval. right? I need the approval that what I'm doing is working, that what I'm doing matters. I ran into a lady yesterday, a Navy veteran at the car dealership, and her son was wearing dog tags. And just because of who I am, I asked the little boy, I'm like, "Hey man, whose dog tags are these?" And he didn't know what I was asking. He was only like 8, and mom said, "They're just toys. They're novelties, replicas." Uh, I said, "Oh, are you a veteran?" She goes, "Yeah, I am." I'm like, "Really? What'd you serve?" Navy. She was on a carrier as well. She was a, what do you guys call, aviation bosun's mate? The
Yeah.
guys that like tow and move airplanes and stuff.
Yep.
So that's what she did on a carrier. And I thought, no shit, that's goddamn. I didn't know that women did that stuff. I thought we were still, men only in certain jobs. So we started talking, and one of the my daughter's texting me. I don't know what she's saying.
Yeah, I'll get ready and wrap up with you in a
No,
little
you're
bit.
good. No, she's having problems with her driver's license. Ohio says as long as you're active duty military, you don't have to get a new license when it expires. You're still good, right? But so many organizations now want a current driver's license and do not accept the military ID. So that's why she's getting pissed off right now. She's trying to get a new license, and they won't give her a new license without an LES to prove that her home of record is still Ohio.
Mm.
And I'm like, God damn it, man. Whatever. So she's a little frustrated, but we're good. I got plenty of time today for you. So, uh, the lady yesterday, I just looked right at her and I said, "How are you doing?" And she started to cry. So we just started talking. She had been hospitalized back in May for an intentional overdose of the drugs that they were giving her from the VA. She has to work an hour plus away from home. The father's not in the picture as much as he should be. They denied her PTSD claim, um, all sorts of stuff. And just being able to sit there with her and have an impact with her and share my podcast with her. And she said she definitely listened because she thinks she's the only one. Well, so many of us feel that way, and we're not. We're not the only one that feels like this. And to be able to do that is it's overwhelming sometimes, right? Like, I don't want people to look at my life and say, I want to be like that. No, if you spent 20 minutes in my fucking head, you'd run out screaming. The difference is that I've learned some things about my own self and how I need to make myself better. That's why I'm here. I mean, look at my desk, man. It's a fucking mess, right? That's my brain, right? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
But my bedroom's clean, right? My bedroom's picked up. My dishes are done. The dishes are put away. The living room is clean. Things like that. This is my work area. I can deal with this, but the rest of my life has to be in order, right? And if you can convey that to other people and get them to understand that too, that when they let themselves become vulnerable and release what they're feeling, man, great things will happen. Great things will happen. You might not see it, you might not know what it's going to be, but damn it, it's going to happen. Just hang in there and don't quit. Just don't quit, man.
Yeah. Hey, I want to touch too on because we've touched a little bit on it, but let's talk about your podcast, like how that came to be, and um, you know, inspiration to get into doing that.
Again, you never know who you're going to meet, right? You never know who's going to have an impact on you. And a couple years ago, SAVE22 called me up. I wasn't a board member yet. I was just an advocate. They called me up and they said, "Hey, you're kind of a gearhead. You like to wrench. You've raced some in the past." I did some racing out west with Winston West and Southwest Tour in NASCAR. Way excuse me, way back in the '90s. And I hadn't been up on the motorsports outreach program. So I didn't really know what was expected. So I'm like, "What do you want me to do? Take some pictures, kiss some babies, shake some hands? What do you want me to do?" They're like, "Nah, man, go hang out at the track." Well, like most of us veterans, I didn't want to do it without somebody else there. Now,
Yeah.
was a mostly veteran team. Was run by a former Marine who wanted to get veterans to the track. So I went out there. I said, my wife's my caregiver. She needs to go with me, just because I didn't know what to expect. And I'm much calmer when I'm with her. Well, I was like a kid in a candy store, bro. Right? Like I was just super happy, super excited, wrenching on cars. They invited me back. My wife didn't go the next day. Wrenched on the cars a little bit, fixed troubleshot one of their electrical problems for them. And they offered me a job. They said, hey, we need a mechanic at the races. I don't need anybody in the shop, but we'll pay for you to get to the track. We'll put you up in a hotel room. We'll pay your incidentals. And we'll give you, I don't remember what it was, $250 a day. I'm like, yeah, sure. When's the next one? It was down in Virginia at VIR. Well, it was a test and race, and we took 5 cars. I took some SAVE22 gear with me and laid it all out in our shout out to Racing for Heroes at VIR. Those guys are amazing. Brett Marash and Racing for Heroes allowed us to use one of their facilities, and we had a nice warm air conditioned out of the elements garage to work out of. And this one lady comes over to me, and she's 5'1". I have to say she's 5'1" because when I say she's 5 foot nothing, she gets mad. So she's 5'1", sweetest little black lady out of I want to say Alabama or Louisiana, and I'm sure she'll call me when she hears this because I screwed it up. But she just puts her hand on my chest and I'm busy. We had wrecked every car. Every car needs to be repaired. There's only me and one other mechanic. The lead mechanic is acting as the engineer, so I'm kind of in charge of all these cars and getting things done. And it's just a hectic situation. She says, I want to hear about this SAVE22 stuff. I said, when I get a minute, I'll come over and talk to you. So a 5-minute dissertation on SAVE22 turned into 30 minutes, my life story, my recovery, my suicide attempt. And she's crying. Both of us are crying. And she says, I'd like to get your number and call you. I think there's something bigger for you, and I just don't know what it is yet. I think I need to tell you that I am a professional speaker, and my main topic is mental health. So she calls me a couple days later and says, I think you need to do short videos of your story, right? You need to get your story out and let other people hear it because I think it's worthy. I'm like, him hawing around it. And she goes, look, just make me a 1 minute and a half recording of what you think your podcast could be like. I'm like, all right. Well, I don't know anything about it. So I call up a buddy that does it, Mike Wine. And I'm like, hey, Mike, I know you're doing a podcast. He did about 5 or 6 episodes and lost interest. I said, but what do I need to do? How do I do it? So I called him up. He comes down. And we just recorded a bunch of little 1-minute things. Hey, this is Johnny Mo with the STR8 Talk podcast. I'm a 23-year Air Force veteran, 14 years sober, suicide survivor, just looking to raise awareness of mental health and the struggles that us veterans go through when we transition back to civilian lives. And that was my intro. That was it. And I sent it to her, and she was in tears. She's like, don't change a thing. I'm like, okay, but now what do I do? What do I do for guests? Who do I talk to? She goes, I don't know. Tell your story. I'm like, fuck. Tell my story. So I got back, and I mean, I basically just did an A8 lead.
Yeah.
I just did a lead of, hey, this is what it was like. This is what happened, and this is what it's like now. And I got the founder of SAVE22, Jason, on. We talked about his story. We talked to Albert about his story. Albert was in Saudi when, was it Saudi or Kuwait? I don't remember, when the Chow Hall got blown up.
Yeah, he
Right?
shared that on here. Episode
Yeah.
195. I got Albert on. We talk all about that. And,
He shared that, and then other people started coming in, and I was all in for like 6-8 months, and I had like 3,000 downloads in a year. I'm like, man, that's pretty fucking. Or my goal was to have 1,000 in a year. That was my goal, 1,000. I ended up with like 2,000 in a year. Then I got hurt. I had to have my shoulder replaced. I kind of backed down a little bit, and like I said earlier, when I'm not interacting with vets, I get fucking depressed, and I don't want to do a goddamn thing, and everything just seems so hard to do. And I got called back up to do another interview and do this and do that. And I started doing them back again. So now I've got like 54 episodes out there, just about 5,000 downloads. I'm trying to figure out a way to make it bigger, not for monetizing, but just to get more awareness out.
Yeah.
Just to tell the story of other veterans who have, had the same kind of struggles and have thrived after they found their new purpose. It You can't let the military define you. It was a chapter in your life, right? It was a chapter in your book, and you're the fucking hero. So are you going to give up and just fade into obscurity, or are you going to keep going and make each day better than the day before? And that's just what I try to put on the podcast. I call it straight talk because I don't bullshit nothing. You get 100% of me, my feelings, my attitude, my language. You get all of it, and I won't hold none of it back. And I ask my guests to do the same thing. STR8 Talk podcast, and it's everywhere. It's on. One of the biggest things I got was when Amazon approved me to be on Amazon Music and Audible. A lot of those things are free, but some of them you have to have an X amount of downloads before they'll start considering you. And to get a couple reviews, I don't have a lot of reviews. I don't know why people don't want to review it, but to read some of those reviews about the stories that get told and how they relate to other people and how it impacted them, that's where I get my joy. Great, I help somebody, or somebody else understands. And my life is 1,000 times better than I could ever imagine. Do I always have money in my bank account? No. Am I always happy? No. But I have more good days than bad days now, and I have way fewer bad 10 minutes than I've ever had in my life. And the podcast and SAVE22 have done that for me.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Hey, I'm gonna have to get ready and start wrapping up here with
All
you.
right.
I know we could keep going on and on.
Oh, I could go for a long time
to talk about, but and it's all been good, man. All good stuff. I just my phone's blowing up now with other reminders of things I got to get to today. But let me ask you a few of the questions I normally ask guests before
Yeah, fire away.
Get off of here. Who are your top 3 musical artists?
Oh, wow. Music, huh? I'm a little bit of everything, man. I listen to a lot of things. I absolutely I love Kid Rock for his no bullshit and his ability to tell a story in his songs. I really I like Kid Rock on the motorcycle, right? Like his Let It Ride, some of his songs of telling stories just really fucking resonate with me. I'm a huge fan of Five Finger Death Punch. I'm sad to see Ivan Moody's retiring, but
I guess he's recanted that from
did he?
Last I heard. Yeah,
I didn't see that, but
caught in the moment thing. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm a big fan. They're huge supporters of veterans. They do a lot.
Huge. And lately, Jelly Roll, to listen to his story and his attitude on life and his perspective is it's inspiring. Albert got to meet him a couple months ago at a concert and gave him a SAVE22 coin and a hat. And
yeah, we met him at incarceration, I think.
Yeah, incarceration. I had to miss that I don't remember what I had. I had something else going on and I couldn't make it. I had planned on getting out there and then something happened. But I like old school music too. Don't laugh at me, but Steely Dan.
I'm with you, man.
Steely Dan back in the day. Marty Robbins, his ability to tell a story. Johnny Cash.
Oh yeah.
Those kind of guys. I'll get into some mood. Billy Joel and Elton John are 2 of my all-time favorites.
Nice.
So.
And then what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
Oh my God. Mandatory before graduating high school. We need to have a class that explains life. Right? Life's not always going to fucking be fair. Plain and simple. Right? You're going to fuck up your checkbook. You're going to fuck up your online banking. You're going to make a mistake. you're going to have to pay taxes. You're going to get caught by surprise by some bill, you know, and that life's not going to work out. We can't sugarcoat everything. I think my generation in raising the kids and giving trophies for participation was a huge fucking mistake. You know, you got to have, you're not going to set them up for failure, but you're going to allow them to know what failure feels like.
Mm-hmm.
If we had a class that was designed for you to fail, by all means, let's have it. We need to teach some resilience, some accountability, right? The accountability is on you to get through this life. You need to make that choice, right? Nobody else has to support you. Nobody else has to give you your money. You know, you don't need to live on welfare your entire fucking life. Get out, make some mistakes and learn from it and move on. That's the kind, I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
Life, I guess. Have a
Yeah.
life course.
Yeah, but it'd be nice if they're prepared,
Right.
almost, a little bit, because I think we're doing them a great disservice with, how we're setting them up now. We are setting them up to fail,
Right.
the way the
Right.
system's set up now. And a
When,
lot of them, are going to end up with mental health issues. A lot of them are going to end up
right.
thinking they're not worthy enough and not, it's been, I don't know, man. It's been
Look,
sad to watch, especially, during the, quote unquote pandemic and the lockdown, how many people I know that relapsed that couldn't get the meetings, how many kids that,
right.
committed suicide because they couldn't socialize and see their friends. And,
I do. I think, it's okay to catch your kid, but you got to let them, you got to figure out how far you need to let them fall. You know,
yeah,
it's okay to tell them, look, no more support. You know, you got to figure this out on your own. I'll be here when you do. I'm not going to let you go hungry, but I'm not giving you money. Right?
yeah,
You're going to spend it in the wrong spot. You're not going to listen. You know, sit down with your kids. Tell them, look, this is how money works. You know, you guys nowadays, this fucking thing, they
yeah,
can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars at the at the push of a button on there, and then they realize they don't have money for gas in their car. Well,
yeah,
now let's go back and look. You know, I get it. You're an AB student and you play on your phone and you play your games, but if you're spending $80 a week on game purchases and you don't have money to put gas in your car, I'm not giving you gas. You know,
exactly.
start learning, right? Start
Yeah.
learning, make those mistakes, struggle for a little bit. Not everybody's going to have a peachy keen life, man. You got to struggle for a little bit to appreciate things a whole lot better.
Oh, yeah. And then who are 3 people who've inspired you or you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Are you trying to get emotional?
I think we've been doing a good job so far.
We've been doing pretty good. So a man I'd never met ever in my life was my great grandfather, or that I remember. Let's put it that way. And he left Austria to start a better life in the U.S. just before World War One, and then sent his wife back to pick up 6 kids in 1916, sneak them through Austria and Germany to get on a boat, to take a slow boat to Ellis Island and sign the book to become American citizens. And they did that, and they became American citizens, and they built their family over here. And that man, having never met him or held his hand or hugged him or anything, has given me an outlook that I have to make this place better for my kids.
Yeah.
And that truly inspires me to just be better, because so many people want to come here for free and just get everything. Well, they worked. They worked their knuckles, their fingers to the bone. You know, they barely had a pot to piss in. And my grandmother raised 6 kids in this tiny ass house with no fucking bathroom and a coal furnace. You know, they did it, and they all became successful, and they've all had large families. And my mom and dad are the only one that had 2 kids. Everybody else had 3, 4, 6, you know, and that man having the courage to start over with nothing and build a family for his kids, I'd say he's number one. He's absolutely number one for me. And then this might sound harsh, but number 2 would be my dad. Not for who he is, but for who I don't want to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
My dad was not a violent man. My dad had a massive car accident in 1975 and spent 3 weeks in a coma. And it really changed his personality. So everybody tells me I was only 4 or 5. But he didn't have the ability to give accolades. He didn't know how to praise or love or say the words, I love you as my son, right? He taught me how to work on cars. He taught me how to fix things. He taught me that, you don't have to ask for help on everything. You need to figure it out on your own before you ask for help. You know, those kinds of things, absolutely. But I never want my kids to wonder whether I love them or appreciate them. And that's that would be why my dad. That would be why my dad. And then, number 3, man, there's so many people out there that unfortunately social media only portrays bad sides of people, or people that do things just for the accolades. Like I aspire to be the guy in the background that's doing the good things that help people without needing the approval of being helped or helping someone.
Yeah.
So there's not really a number 3. It's just I want to be that guy that does the right thing when nobody's looking. You need help, I'll help you. But you got to do the work. I did the work, you can do the work too.
Gotcha. And you may have even touched on this at the very beginning, but favorite toy as a child?
Man, I don't really know. I Matchbox cars. Matchbox cars. I absolutely love Matchbox cars, Tonka trunks. In fact, I still have Matchbox cars hanging up over here. I got
Nice.
the Cars movie. My son was collecting them as a kid, and I'm like, I'll keep them. I'll keep them. I'll hang on
Nice.
to those. I just because they can do anything. Your imagination can take you anywhere. My imagination was very big when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You can dream anything, making uh using little tiny Tonka truck bulldozers and dump trucks back when they were made out of metal, and hauling rocks from one side of the driveway to the other, or setting up a racetrack on that flex track, or slot cars. And it was always something to do with cars, man. Always.
Nice. And then any message you have for our military brothers and sisters currently serving overseas?
Well, considering that my daughter just came back last week, keep your head up. Keep your head up. You know what? It's going to suck. You're going to miss things. Don't let it define you. When you get back, I'll be here for you. JohnnyMoMedia@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. I'll talk to you. Find me on Facebook. Trying to get the YouTube thing going. Listen to the podcast. You're not the only one that feels the way you feel. One thing that I'm noticing, I just talked with my daughter's first sergeant last week when I was down there, and they're implementing these programs. I think it's called Airman First, where they talk about these things. They talk about what it's going to be like when you come back, things to expect. Don't blow it off. Don't blow off those briefings. Don't, that's not going to fucking happen. I'm not going to be that way. Listen, if you talk to the SPs or the MPs on base, some of their worst times are when deployment teams come back. There's more domestic violence. There's more alcohol-related incidents. There's more fights. Watch your alcohol intake. Not necessarily how much you drink, but what the alcohol does to you when you drink it. There are people around that care, whether they've met you before or not, that care how you're getting through this life. Me being one of them, SAVE22 being another one. Billy right here with this podcast, he obviously cares. You don't have to just go to the VA and accept their answer. If you don't like what's happening at the VA, tell them you don't like what's happening at the VA and you'd like to go look elsewhere. That's what the Choice Act is about, right? Don't let them tell you no. You are the patient and you have a right to say, I don't like what's going on. right? That's what I would say to the veteran or to the military members overseas. When you come back or you get back to your base, be cognizant, be aware of what's happening to you, be willing to talk about it, be vulnerable, be okay to cry, right? Let that pressure out, man. You're going to feel lighter. Um, like I said, look us up, save22.vet. There's 22,000 veteran nonprofits in this country. 22,000. You'll be able to find out pretty quick who just talks about it and who bees about it, right?
Yeah.
That's what we like. That's what we like to say in Save 22. You know what? When you shake somebody's hand and you got the Iggy 6 right there on your arm, I put it there for a reason. So when I extend my hand, if that veteran knows what that means, he knows that I'm there and I mean it, right? I got no 22 on my hand so that I see it every day and that others see it every day. And I am not going to become one of those 22, right? Dedicate yourself to helping others, but don't forget to take care of yourself. Self-care. I know there's a big push. It's all cliche now to talk about it. This is the hype thing to do, self-care. It's true. It's
Yeah.
real. If you need to spend an hour on your back porch watching one fucking chipmunk, then spend an hour on your back porch watching a chipmunk.
Dude, you can't pour from an empty glass, man.
No, bro, you gotta fucking, you gotta fill yourself up every now and again. And when your buddies are talking about they don't want to be here, take them seriously. When they're talking about killing themselves or hurting somebody else, take them seriously. Stop them and say, hey, are you being serious right now? Do you really feel like hurting yourself? Do you really feel like killing yourself? Well, nobody loves me. Well, bullshit, nobody loves you. I'm sitting right fucking here with you. Be willing to tell your brother that you love him, right? Be willing to use that word. Be willing to say that I will miss you, right? Be willing to cry with him, to hold his hand. Look, man, you did it over in the foxhole. You did it when you were running through Fallujah. Watch you fucking do it now. It ain't no damn different, right? You're still human beings, and try to be kind. I know that people are going to laugh when they hear this because sometimes I'm a complete asshole, but I'm normally a complete asshole to people that don't deserve my respect. If you're not going to show me respect, I'm not going to show you any respect.
Yeah.
I'm out, So don't be down on yourself, man. It gets better. It gets better. I promise you, it gets better. So what if she left you?
Yeah.
So what if she fucked your best friend? You didn't need either one of them. Now your
Yeah.
circle just got smaller. Now you can make that circle tighter, and you know who actually has your back and who has your six.
Exactly. Well, Johnny, it's been great, man. I'm glad we made this happen. And thank you so much for doing me a solid, making yourself available this morning. What a way to start the day. Two veterans getting to just be real and do some straight talk, like you say,
Straight
man.
talk, brother. STR8 Talk, wherever you find your podcast, man.
Appreciate it, man. And real quick before I let you go, you mind
Yeah.
doing me a favor?
Yeah. What's up?
Mind cutting a promo ID for my podcast? Just
Oh,
introduce yourself, what you do, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, you're listening to today's Boondoggle. I am Johnny Mo with Johnny Mo Media and the Straight Talk podcast. Give Bill a listen, a like, and a follow. Give him a rating too, man. It really does help. And while you're at it, go find mine and give me a rating too.
Awesome, man. There you go. Multitask, baby. Hey, man, it was good talking to you. Let's keep in touch, man, because you're not.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
at least you're still here in Ohio, so I know
Yeah.
Albert took off, so I can connect with you.
Yeah,
So,
let's do it. Let's do it. Up there in
make it
Cleveland,
happen.
you got Scott Rhoda with Ride with Valor. I'll shoot your info or shoot his info over to you. Maybe you can have him on too. He does a lot of stuff with veteran homelessness, man. He's really incredible.
Awesome, man. Sounds good.
All right, buddy.
All right, take care.
See you, man.